If you or a loved one have been involved in an accident, make sure you're protected. Whether it is an auto injury, workman's comp, social security disability, nursing home abuse, or slip and fall, be protected and aware of your legal rights. With an expert support team, every aspect of your legal and physical recovery is our priority. Our office will deal with all the insurance companies, no matter who they are. So call me, Stephen Lulich, and protect yourself.
All right. Angelo Vaccarelli and Brenda Carlotto Live, the most listened to weekend morning show
On Vero Beach Radio, and we thank everyone.
All right, let's bring out our next guest. Who do we have here? Our expert contributor. Yes.
Our hometown attorney, Stephen Lulich.
Yay!
Good morning. Good morning, Brenda.
Good morning.
Good morning, Angelo.
Good morning. Welcome back, Stephen. How's things going for you, all right?
Great to be here. Great to be here.
Thanks for being here on the air. We've had several people write in with questions.
Well, I'd be glad to answer some of the questions. Before we do that, though, I'd like to just give you some update on the law, okay?
Oh, that'd be great.
The law doesn't update all the time because they're not always in session, okay? And so the last session, they had laws become effective July 1st. With regard to condominium associations, okay, they changed the law basically saying that if a condominium unit is abandoned, okay, the association has the right to go and go inside, basically get access to it for the purpose of preservation of the unit, make sure the area is working, make sure it's not affecting other units, and then they can go to court and be appointed receiver to lease it, okay, to pay for the association fees.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
so that's interesting. And then I think the other thing that's really up to date, okay, and affects all sorts of meetings, board meetings, association meetings, okay. You know, there's always an issue when there's a meeting, is there a quorum or is there not a quorum?
Right.
Okay. Well, now they've put right in the statute that by FaceTime or Skype, you can attend the meeting, and that is just as if you were there.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow,
so
that's
modern
something.
times, the legislation caught up with the modern times, you know,
Yes.
so, just a few tidbits, okay? So, you had some questions.
We do. Brenda, you want to start? Go ahead.
Well, back to what you maybe were just referring to. It's,
Good.
one gentleman writes in and says, do I need a lawyer for probate in Florida?
Well, the interesting thing about probate, okay, probate is when you go to the court and you ask the court to probate the will to process the transfer of assets from the deceased party's name, okay, to either the beneficiaries or to sell the assets and divide the proceeds among the beneficiaries. And of course, you have to pay the debts first and do quite a few other things. What people don't realize, and that's a very good question, is just because you have a will doesn't mean that if the person dies, the property is automatically yours, okay? And the will only controls assets that are in a person's name individually. For instance, if you have a CD or you have a savings account that's jointly held, it's in my name and your name, Angelo.
Yes.
Okay, and something happens to me, you own it. In fact, you own it half with me, okay, and you have full access, so you could actually take it all out. Of course, I'd come and find you.
And now, the Legal Minute, sponsored by your local attorney, Stephen Lulich.
Be responsible to your children and beneficiaries. The preparation of a will is a serious matter and is an instrument that expresses your wishes for the ultimate disposition of your assets. If you do not have a will, the state will decide how your property will be distributed, and chances are it won't be the way you wanted it. Use a qualified attorney to assist you in the preparation of your will so that you can control what will happen when you pass away.
The hiring of a lawyer is an important decision that should not be based solely on advertisements. Protect yourself and know your rights. Contact your local attorney, Stephen Lulich, today with offices in Sebastian and Vero Beach. 772-589-5500. That's 772-589-5500.
We had a situation
We
where
did,
an
yeah.
elderly a woman who owned a home in Florida put her home up for sale. She became ill.
Right.
and-
Her
yeah.
family
and-
moved her back to Georgia.
Right, up that way. And unfortunately, she passed away 5 days before
The
the
closing.
closing.
Yes.
Right.
And she didn't have a will. And we're going to
Right.
talk about wills and how important that is. Bob.
Well, that's not an awful thing. It's not the best thing to happen because Florida statute would control how the assets are distributed to the heirs, okay? Might not necessarily be what she intended. That's why it's good to have a will, okay? But there is a process, okay? Evidently, she can't sign the deed over, okay? So it's not, the close is not going to happen now. We would have to get her appointed as, or one of her heirs, as personal representative of the estate. Other states, they call it executor, but in Florida, it's the personal representative. And that's through filing a probate, opening up a probate, okay? And we get her appointed, and then the personal representative can go ahead and transfer the house and finish the contract. The contract doesn't die because somebody passes away.
Right.
Okay, the estate still has to follow through on the contract.
Is it a long process?
It's a long process. Well, the process can be anywhere from 60 days, okay, to 2 years, depending on the amount of assets you have.
I see.
Okay,
Ah.
and if you have a lot of different assets, the process might take longer. But typically, the average estate is 6 months to a year, you know, by the time you get the properties moved. You can't close the estate until you either transfer the assets or you liquidate the assets. And as you know, real estate is not totally liquid, you know, so.
Right.
And I have to give you, of course, we always give you a plug because you're the best. But
Thank you for that, but what's really important that everyone should know is that you two guys are great realtors.
All right, I think we have one from Betty here. How to prepare a quitclaim deed to transfer deed from two parents divorced to their child who is an adult. Will one deed suffice or do they need two deeds? The original deed is held as tenants in the entirety, if you will. This is all Greek to me, man. I'm just.
I know. Well, first, what do you say? Put that in layman's terms for us.
You hit a whole bunch of legal issues, okay? If property is held by tenants by the entireties,
Yes.
okay, that means it's held by husband and wife, okay?
Mhm.
So if they're divorced, it's no longer held by tenants by the entirety, it's held by tenants in common,
Okay.
okay? So then, transferring a deed, the big problem with doing a deed, especially for a layperson trying to do a deed, okay, is that if you don't follow the legal description properly, if you don't put the proper parties in, or the proper spelling, okay, you end up sometimes with what's called a cloud on title. And so a lot of the work that I do sometimes ends up being correcting things that aren't done properly. Okay, so you should see an attorney to do the deeds. They only usually cost $200 or $300 depending on what needs to be done. And we have a way of being able to, yes, they should both sign the same deed, but they can sign separate deeds if they'd like.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so to answer that question, yes. We're a well-rounded office, and we have associated attorneys also that work with us. We do personal injury, okay, which includes auto accidents, medical malpractice,
Train and plane.
slip and fall, train, plane, yes, we do all of that. I have handled train accidents.
That's amazing.
And also plane accidents.
Wow.
And that's on the personal injury end. And then we have a full real estate service department. We do title insurance, we do real estate contracts, we do closings. And we also have a business division that handles corporations, LLCs, buying and selling of business contracts, searching everything, making sure that there's clear title and no debts due, or the debts are paid that are due. Of course, we do the estate planning, which is wills, power of attorneys, living wills, and also trusts. So we cover the spectrum.
Sure
We
do.
also do some divorces, okay, and quiet title, commercial litigation, go get the money for you, or keep the people away who are trying to get your money.
And now, the Legal Minute, sponsored by your local attorney, Stephen Lulich.
If you fall in a grocery store or anywhere where you are an invitee, winning the case depends on whether the floor was slippery or whether there was a structural defect. Things you should note. Was there a sign indicating the floor was wet? Was there foreign substance on the floor? Was there a broken stair or a hole in the sidewalk? How long was the substance or defect there? If you do slip and fall, you should immediately file a written incident report with the owner, immediately seek medical attention, and seek the advice of an attorney.
The hiring of a lawyer is an important decision that should not be based solely on advertisements. Protect yourself and know your rights. Contact your local attorney, Stephen Lulich, today, with offices in Sebastian and Vero Beach. 772-589-5500. That's 772-589-5500.
Hi, my name is Steve, owner and operator of Windstar Builders, Inc., your hometown A to Z contractor. Whether you need hurricane protection for a commercial or residential building, a large-scale residential building built, or a large-scale commercial building built, we can handle your needs. If you also need structural improvements done to any wood frame structure or block structure, we can handle that as well, down to small additions or large additions, remodels, or anything you wish to do to the interior of your home, or just a simple screen porch. On the smaller side of things, Windstar Builders has handymen that can help you with those pesky chores, such as hanging a mini blind, sprucing up a rental, or building a fence in your front or backyard. Windstar Builders also has a lawn maintenance division, which can help you with your monthly yard chores, such as mowing your grass, trimming your bushes and trees, or getting rid of the pesky weeds that just don't seem to go away.
And now, The Legal Minute, sponsored by your local attorney, Stephen Lulich.
For those of you who would prefer not to have your life prolonged when death is imminent or your condition is terminal and would prefer to die naturally, a living will drafted pursuant to Florida statute is necessary. Additionally, if you were to become mentally or physically incompetent from a car accident, stroke, Alzheimer's, or some other misfortune, you will need to have someone take care of your finances and healthcare decision. A power of attorney is appropriate. An attorney can assist with any questions you have concerning a living will and a power of attorney.
The hiring of a lawyer is an important decision that should not be based solely on advertisements. Protect yourself and know your rights. Contact your local attorney, Stephen Lulich, today, with offices in Sebastian and Vero Beach. 772-589-5500.
What about nursing homes? You hear of
We've done
sad stories.
quite a lot of nursing home
Right.
abuse,
Really?
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's higher penalties involved with regard to nursing home abuse.
This one's, my husband was dropped by the EMTs on an ambulance call and was injured. What can we do?
These are typical questions that I get in my law office. People come in and I do a free consultation.
Ooh, that's another good point.
Right.
Yeah, and the reason why I do free consultation is because we don't always know if there's a case, okay? And so in order to answer that question, I need to have facts. In order to have a successful personal injury case, you have to show basically two things, okay? If you want to make a personal claim, okay, you have to show that somebody was negligent, they did something they shouldn't have, like dropped you, okay? You have to show that there's damages, that you were hurt, that you suffered from that you suffered and it cost you, okay, to repair the injuries, okay? So, you know, to determine whether there is significant damages or significant neglect, okay, that's what we do, okay? For instance, with medical malpractice, your statute of limitation is not 4 years, it's 2 years, okay? And in order to sue, you have to have a doctor show that in an affidavit form that there was gross negligence in what the medical provider did, okay? So if there's a concern, if you think that you have been wrong and are injured, give us a call, free consultation.
And the number is, Brenda?
772-589-5500.
Attorney Stephen Lulich, your hometown attorney. Well, the next woman here asked not to give her name out, if you don't mind. Her husband had his gallbladder removed 5 months ago,
This is so interesting.
but had to have more tests this month, and they found out that, guess what? He still has his gallbladder. Does she
I
have a
know.
case? Okay.
That was was easy.
Very rarely I say yes. It's usually,
I know.
however.
Depends.
Okay, well,
right.
see, it does depend on the damages.
Oh, there it
Right.
comes.
Now, who paid for the gallbladder? Okay.
Uh-oh.
Is he scarred from it? He might have damages with regard to the scar. Okay, if the insurance company carried the whole financial burden, okay, well, we're gonna get money back to give to the insurance company,
Oh.
but I would assume they're scarring, okay? So,
Right.
yes, there is a case. Yeah. Actually, there was one case where they took off the wrong leg.
Ooh,
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah, especially if you have the second one taken.
That's not funny.
No,
No, it's not funny at all.
Serious.
It is serious.
Susan
All right.
wants to know, Attorney Stephen Lulich, can I recoup my moving expenses since I moved in and out of my apartment in just one day due to roach infestation?
I would say that there's a potential case there, but landlord-tenant law, okay, is very strict with regard to the type of notices you have to give.
Oh.
Okay, you can't just say, I've got roaches and move out. Okay, you've got to give proper notices. There's statutory notices. You've got to give the landlord a certain amount of time to cure, just the same as if the landlord has a problem with the tenant.
Right.
Okay, the landlord has to give proper notices, okay, and time to cure the problem.
Somebody wanted to know about title companies. They were buying a home and
Oh, that's right.
they were being forced to use
The
a title
sellers,
company,
right.
seller's title company.
Seller's
Do they
title.
have to use a seller's title company, or
That's
can they have
right.
their own attorney do the closing?
The typical Florida bar realtor contract has a place in it that specifies who's providing the title insurance and who's paying for it.
Right.
Okay. Sometimes the party who is providing it pays for it. Sometimes the party paying for it is not, his attorney or title company is not providing it. The seller or the buyer has the choice, okay? And typically, that is decided when you sign the contract. After you sign the contract, you cannot change your mind,
Right.
okay, unless the other side agrees.
Okay.
Okay, so, yes, you can use your attorney to review the title policy, even if it's being provided by a title company. And what most people don't realize,
Yeah.
title companies work for their underwriter.
Right.
They don't represent the buyer or the seller.
And people don't know that.
Yeah,
Right, you're
simply,
right.
you know, they provide a title policy, and just like an auto policy, it's an insurance policy,
Mhm.
okay? And so when you get it, you know, there are exceptions and things that you can leave out and things that you can put in there. So if you really want to have the best title policy, you're going to go to an attorney because he'll be able to advise you, you know, and also get the documentation at closing that will delete certain exceptions. You as professional realtors know the value of using an attorney to do the closing.
Absolutely.
And I happen to do some closings where I am just a transactional attorney, like a transactional realtor, where I don't even charge attorney's fees. I just charge title rates. Okay?
Wow.
Now, if they need me to explain the documents, if there's a problem, they need an escrow letter, or if there's a probate, that I'm right there. It doesn't have to go anywhere else. We take care of it. Okay? But the important thing is that when you fill out a contract, it's okay if you just put something in there like the name. But as soon as you have to start to go ahead and add things to the addendum, okay, well, I want to include this, and it's got to be subject to that. And if that is not written legally, the person who is writing it, whether it be the realtor or the buyer, okay, could make a mistake that could cost them money down the road.
Sure.
Okay, and that's why, you know, I review a simple real estate contract for $125. Come on.
Title companies cannot practice law. Neither can realtors.
But that's correct.
Right.
That's correct. You know, but it's so interesting because realtors, and this is something that's like endemic in Florida. Realtors think that attorneys are deal breakers, okay? Because they look at their contracts and they look at it with fine tooth. So if there's something wrong, okay, it might fall apart. That's why they like to send it to the title company, because the title company is not allowed to look at the contract. They just follow it. Doesn't make a
Right.
difference what it says.
All they're concerned with
That's
is square
true.
title. That's it.
That's
That's
true,
it,
yeah.
right.
That's so true. Go ahead, Brenda.
If my brother is the executor of my late mother's will, but won't show me a copy, is it legal for him to withhold it?
State law says within 10 days of death, you have to deposit the will with the clerk of the court. Okay, so If they're not doing that, they're violating state law. I have a lot of people coming to me that think they might be in the will, okay, that they're not sure if they are, if they aren't, and one of the family members is sitting on the will, okay, and I'm able to get the will into the court, and even if they're not the personal representative, I'm able to let them know what their interest is with regard to the party's estate.
You're listening to your hometown attorney, Attorney Stephen Lulich of Sebastian, Florida. His phone number is
772-589-5500. Now, Dave says, if the damages in an auto accident for which I am at fault exceed my insurance coverage, am I open to be sued?
Yes.
okay. Why would I need a lawyer for workers' compensation in Florida?
Driving the vehicle.
And you're on the clock.
And you're on the clock, you're entitled to workman's comp. But you also have a third-party claim against the other side. But to figure that out, I need all of the facts. So a lot of people think they can go through it by themselves, and then they get halfway through it, okay, and they say, oh, I need an attorney, okay. Well, you're better protected if you get the attorney right away.
Right.
Okay, because then we've got to backpedal, and we can't always undo what you might have mistakenly done.
Makes sense. If you're ever in an accident, can you walk us through it? What do? What's the first thing you do if you're in a car accident?
Well, prior to the accident, you call my office and we'll send you a leaflet that you can put in your glove compartment that can tell you exactly what to do when you're in an accident.
You have something like this?
Yes, I do.
It's so great working with you.
With you, absolutely.
A professional lawyer. Let me tell you something.
Attorney Stephen Lulich.
He's in your corner.
Absolutely.
He's your hometown attorney. Attorney Stephen Lulich.
772-589-5500.
All right, thank you, Brenda.
You're welcome, Stephen.
Hi, my name is Steve, owner and operator of Windstar Builders Inc., your hometown A to Z contractor. Whether you need hurricane protection for a commercial or residential building, a large-scale residential building built, or a large-scale commercial building built, we can handle your needs. If you also need structural improvements done to any wood frame structure or block structure, we can handle that as well, down to small additions or large additions, remodels, or anything you wish to do to the interior of your home. Or just a simple screen porch. On the smaller side of things, Windstar Builders has handymen that can help you with those pesky chores, such as hanging a mini blind, sprucing up a rental, or building a fence in your front or backyard. Windstar Builders also has a lawn maintenance division, which can help you with your monthly yard chores, such as mowing your grass, trimming your bushes and trees, or getting rid of the pesky weeds that just don't seem to go away.